it's great to have a good attitude about it because I think it really presents this amazing opportunity for great role playing. What is a player to do when their fighter can't swing a sword to save their life? Or your magic user cast myriad spells, none of which seem to come to any effectual conclusion, and when you generally just suck as a character? Like, what happens if your character just sucks? Let's talk about this for a minute here because, wow, I can hardcore relate to having this experience, and I think there's a huge opportunity for loads of fun when this kind of thing happens. Now, this is sort of a small nod to my new friend Ben, the Curious Owlbear, and the wonderful character in our Essentials Kit game. Of course, I'm talking about Jamriel the Bard. Jamriel the Bard, in our first 3 sessions, has been stymied once and again because of what essentially boils down to, like, ridiculous rolls from the DM in saving throws, and terrible rolls from himself if he's, making attack rolls. And I completely relate to this. I have been playing in the game where we're playing the Lost Mines. I am playing a wizard, and it became the same kind of joke where, especially with my character, I was playing my character off as this, very, aristocratic noble who's, very sure of himself, very, what's the word? Confident, overly confident, right? And I kept coming across as if I'm going to save the day or something, and just the dice were absolutely not in my favor again and again and again. And it was so infuriating as a player. You throw for instance, let's say you throw a Produce Flame or some other one of your cantrips because you're trying to be conservative and you just think, oh, I'll just hit him for a little bit of damage. When a little bit of damage is like 1 or 2 or 3 points of damage over and over and over, and meanwhile, the fighter, the paladin, the, ranger, or even other casters are doing 10 damage, 20 damage, and this kind of thing, and you're just sitting there going, what? Why are my spells so terrible? Yeah, it can get a little, well, yeah, frustrating. Aggravating. I mean, there's lots of words we could use to describe it. The bottom line is, I think there's a way to still have fun with it. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I think it took, about 10 or so, maybe even 12 sessions for my wizard to finally get to a point where, some of his spells were really having impact on the game, right? I was there and I was contributing, but it always felt like it was in such a small way that it was I did lots of great role playing. We were having a blast role playing, and I'm completely speaking mechanically right here. Mechanically, I felt like my character was kind of, in a way, just doing nothing. That's what it felt like. That's not the truth. He was doing stuff, but it felt like he was doing nothing. And and it's been funny because I can imagine that maybe Ben feels the same way playing Jamriel, and we've been goosing him hard about it too from the first couple sessions, but we're all like, yeah, sure, he'll miss all these insignificant battles and combats, but then when it comes to the big bad or some quintessential moment, he's probably going to be the one that comes through with the killing blow and that kind of stuff, and chances are it's going to be a 1, right? So this has been our joke, and we have fun about that, and it's great to have a good attitude about it because I think it really presents this amazing opportunity for great role playing. You gotta act the dice are the dice. Sometimes, the dice, what is it? She's a fickle muse. Sometimes they're gonna be very, yeah, what's that? Oh gosh, it's escaping me at the moment. Luck. Luck, she is a fickle muse, right? So like sometimes she's at your side and sometimes she's against you. And what are you going to do in those situations? And how do you handle that? How does your character handle that? And so this, I mean, I think, my opinion is, good role-playing should involve some level of growth for your character, right? Because, like, if you start out a game and by the end of your game, like, even in a single session on some level, but maybe over a big arc, like if you're playing a story arc, a campaign, you know, that goes for weeks or months or what have you, there should be some kind of development and growth for your character. And it doesn't necessarily have to be positive growth. So don't take that to mean I'm suggesting your character has to become some, like, heroic person. I mean, they could degrade into some, like, sinister, cynical tyrant. That's growth. Not positive, but it's still growth. So I think if we take those roles, the mechanic of the game where for whatever reason our luck is against us for a while, and if we then take that as a cue, as a trigger, as a reason to manipulate, to master, to maneuver our characters through our role playing, there's like this huge opportunity for lots of fun. Lots and lots of fun. And so, again, like, I think if a player is deft and is skillful about this, I think everyone at the table is going to have a good time. Because I know for sure at our table, my table with playing the Lost Mines, I know for sure it became, like, very hysterical because literally the other characters were giving my character a hard time about, like, yeah, you're big bad magic, you know, we'll believe it when we see it, kind of thing. And it was awesome. And now in the last, like, 2 sessions, I feel like my character has finally hit his stride, right? He's finally like throwing out a shatter spell and taking out an entire room of hobgoblins with one spell. 4 or 5 of them go down. Yeah, that's what a controller, that's what a good wizard, if you're playing it that way, should be doing. You know? And it's like if you try to cast sleep and you roll 5d8. 5d8 could be potentially the top number is 40 hit points of characters get put to sleep. But if you only roll, like, let's say you roll an average of 2s, that's only like 10 hit points or something crazy, you know. So you could have a crummy roll, and instead of being 40 hit points of characters put to sleep, it's like 15 or something crazy ridiculous like that, right? So yeah, so the advice I think I have, so if there's any advice, if there's anything that is I think the lesson to be learned is you gotta ride it out. You gotta stick with it. You gotta kind of like enjoy the ride. And this is probably true for every game, but you gotta enjoy the ride. So even if your luck is crummy, even if the rolls are crummy, and if you feel like on some level your character sucks, you just gotta go with it, I think. And it can and should, and I believe it will, lead you to some absolute golden gems of role-playing and fun gaming. That's what I've been experiencing, and ultimately it's statistical, right? So at some point the dice rolls are going to flip around in your favor. Even if you feel like you're the most unlucky person on the planet, the reality is it's all statistics. And eventually, even Roll20, yes, I have a trouble because I feel like the Roll20 rolls are just like, I always get, yeah, I prefer to roll my own dice. Let's just leave it at that. But no matter what, I feel like eventually the rolls are going to turn around in your favor. And if you can ride that wave and you can stick with it and enjoy the silliness of having a character who is not necessarily the most effective, the most devastating in the party, and yet still find fun ways to enjoy the play, enjoy the game. Hey, look, I mean, there's a reason this says 1 and 20, right? Ones can be just as much fun if you let them. I mean, of course, 20s are the best. We all love to crit, but I still think the characters that suck, that seem like they can't do anything right, man, there is so much room for so much fun with those characters, and potentially the most room for growth. Let's see where we grow with the game and the videos here tomorrow. I'll be back with more DnDaily. This was number 210. We're like climbing like crazy. I can't believe it. Thanks for joining me. Keep rolling 20s, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, and remember, it's your game. Play your way.